Hello, and welcome to Channel Top 5 Top 10. Today we're going over the most terrible and deadly natural disasters of today, as well as looking back on the terrible devastation the forces of nature inflicted throughout human history. We start with the killer lake that last struck in Cameroon on August 21, 1986. It was a typical clear day when nearly all the inhabitants of Nios village, around 1,700 people, mysteriously and instantly died. Death came so quickly that one woman who was cooking porridge stood at the stove as if she were still alive. Scientists arrived on the scene to the sight of dead herds of cows in the pastures nearby. An autopsy showed that the people and livestock had died from carbon monoxide poisoning. This was astonishing, since a volcanic eruption capable of releasing such a high volume of carbon monoxide was unprecedented. Further investigation found the source in Lake Nios, which had changed color the day before. A pocket of magma beneath the lake's floor had been belching deadly gas slowly into the water at a rate of about 5,000 tons per year for 300 years. Once the carbon monoxide levels reached critical mass, the accumulated gas under the water's surface erupted into the local atmosphere, killing everything within a radius of about 17 miles when accounting for wind direction. This kind of phenomenon is not unique. It's called a limnological catastrophe. Today, there are quite a lot of potential killer lakes on Earth, which accumulate carbon monoxide in their waters. For example, in Lake Kivu in East Africa, it holds nearly 1,000 times more carbon monoxide than Nios. If it bursts, nearly 2 million people living near its shores can only pray that the wind won't blow in their direction. Fourth place goes to a well-known natural disaster that frequently reduces the world's population. These are tropical cyclones and tornadoes that occur naturally within hurricanes and tropical storm systems. They form over the warm waters of the ocean near the equator, particularly in the Atlantic Ocean. Due to Earth's rotation, the cyclones usually move northwest. As a result, a large number of hurricanes strike the eastern shores of North America. Their raw power is nothing short of amazing. For example, in 2004, the hurricanes caused 117 tornadoes and caused $13 billion of damage in the United States alone. A year later, the infamous Hurricane Katrina caused another $125 billion in damage and killed 1,836 residents. But looking back at the most fatal hurricanes around the world, Katrina seems like a gentle breeze. In 1998, in Honduras and Nicaragua, Hurricane Mitch killed 20,000 people, and the Great Hurricane of 1780 in the Caribbean islands killed more than 27,000 people. However, the deadliest hurricane is Fola, which struck East Pakistan in 1970, resulting in the deaths of 500,000 people. Although the hurricane had relatively low wind speeds, the killer force of this storm was the huge amount of precipitation. Most of the islands in the Ganges Delta flooded, sweeping away entire villages and thousands of acres of crops. Running middle of the pack at number 3 are volcanic eruptions. Throughout history, volcanoes have wiped entire cities off the face of the Earth. They result from pockets of gas escaping from the Earth's mantle. Much like opening a bottle of champagne, you get a pop from an explosion of gas, an eruption of foam, and one last smoky waft of what's left over from the bottle. But imagine if the bottle were shaken or heated before opening. If the bottle isn't tightly sealed, a powerful jet of champagne escapes, shooting the cork out with it. A volcanic eruption is similar in concept. Magma in the magma chamber is compressed by gas trapped beneath the Earth's crust, and the pressure escapes through weak pressure points that we call volcanoes. The hot magma knocks the cork out of the volcano, so to speak. The stronger the pressure point, the stronger the volcanic eruption once the pressure reaches its critical mass. The force sends large rocks and boulders careening through the air for miles at deadly speeds. Then comes the release of volcanic ash, which when settling can cause home roofs to cave in. But perhaps the deadliest feature of volcanic eruptions are pyroclastic flows, which are basically red-hot, rushing storms of rocks, ash, and toxic gas. The temperature inside them can reach up to 800 degrees Celsius with speeds of up to 700 kilometers per hour. Escape is impossible, even by plane, much less ground transportation. Pyroclastic flows are the primary cause of deaths during volcanic eruptions. They destroyed the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD and released more energy than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima, Japan during World War II. Historians estimate that 16,000 Romans died in the blast. In 1902, a pyroclastic flow destroyed the city of Saint-Pierre, killing over 30,000. Only 2 survived the catastrophe, a prisoner who was locked in an underground solitary confinement cell, and a shoemaker who lived on the outskirts of the city. Other eruptions have drowned entire cities. For example, Mount Krakatoa in Indonesia went completely under the water after a volcanic explosion with more force than 11,000 Hiroshima bombs. 2,000 island inhabitants were killed instantly, and the resulting tsunami led to the deaths of about 36,000 more on neighboring islands. But all the eruptions that have occurred in the last 20,000 years pale in comparison to supervolcanoes that are capable of creating global nuclear winter, destroying human life on Earth as we know it. Theories suggest that supervolcanoes have caused the extinction of over half the species that have ever walked the Earth, and scientists estimate that supervolcanic eruptions occur once approximately every 100,000 years. Second place goes to one of the most deadly natural disasters, the tsunami. These are powerful waves generated by powerful subaquatic earthquakes on the ocean floor, or in rare cases, meteor strikes on the ocean's surface. To date, humanity has only seen the earthquake variety. In 2011, after the devastating earthquake in Japan, waves of up to 40 meters high flooded several coastal cities. The most fatal tsunami on record occurred in December 2004 in Southeast Asia. An earthquake in the Indian Ocean produced waves 15 meters high that hit the shores of Thailand, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and other countries. About 300 people died as a direct result of the catastrophe. Several feature films were made about it, and with a quick web search, you can still see the footage. The title for #1 most terrible natural disaster goes to earthquakes. An earthquake occurs as a result of tectonic shifts in the Earth's crust. Sometimes they even result from landslides, volcanic eruptions, mining operations, oil drilling, and even nuclear tests. It may come as a surprise, but there are about 1 million earthquakes annually on Earth. It's just most of them are so insignificant that they go unnoticed. Really strong quakes with enough destructive force to cause real devastation happen about once every 2 weeks. But most of them occur at the bottom of the ocean. Earthquakes have a 12-point scale of intensity, with 6 points and up being considered dangerous for people. Earthquakes with this much force or more can topple buildings, burying people under their wreckage. One of the largest earthquakes in history, with a force of 11 points, occurred on September 30th, 1139 in what is now the Republic of Azerbaijan. The quake rocked a highly populated area in the Middle Ages, killing 230,000 people. The strongest earthquake occurred in China in 1556, claiming the lives of 830,000 people. It's also worth mentioning the Great Japanese Earthquake of Kanto. In 1923, 174,000 Japanese citizens were killed, and 142,000 more went missing. Over the past 50 years, there have been about 10 major devastating earthquakes across the globe, each killing anywhere between 100 to 800,000 people. When you include quakes with a death toll of less than 100,000, you couldn't even count them on your fingers and toes. So why exactly do earthquakes come first in our top 5? They're alarmingly frequent, and there's no sure way to protect yourself from one. While you may be able to avoid tsunamis and volcanoes by living far away from them, earthquakes can occur almost anywhere in the world and without warning. Earthquakes have also claimed more lives than any other natural force, making them the king of all catastrophes. That's all, everyone. If you liked the video, give it a like and comment on your experiences with natural disasters. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Bye, everyone.